Hello, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Vaughn, or Car Conversations over here on YouTube. Listen, today was a beautiful day. My hair looks crazy, but I've been out in the wind, trying to get this car conversation done in an actual car. And yeah, here I am for the third time today trying to get this done. So let's talk about it. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for subscribing. Please share the links, invite friends over to the YouTube page. And if you can just hear my voice and you're listening to the podcast, please come and join us on the YouTube page at Matawithshanavonn on YouTube. All right, so we've got to talk about this birthday book. So I spent some time last night and finished up today looking through the birthday book, the Epstein birthday book. And let me tell you, okay, so there are lots of pictures, lots of photos, a lot of hand-drawn pictures, there are letters. And it's broken down by category. So there's like family, there's a section for children, which I don't recall him actually having any biological children, so I find that weird, but I'll tell you what's in that section. There's girlfriends, there's a section. There's business section. There's I think, did it say associates? No, assistants section. So it's sectioned off, right? Early life, family, etc. Then it goes throughout his life. And there are letters from folks, there are hand-drawn pictures from folks, there are pictures with folks. There's just a lot in the birthday book. So I'm going to start with the pictures that most disturb me. Oh, actually, there were some that were posted on social media that you probably saw. You know what? No. Where I'm going to start is with the website that everyone can go to see this for themselves. Before y'all get in my comments, before you get in the comments, I want you to go look at it for yourselves. I don't want to hear, oh, that's not his signature. Oh, that he doesn't speak like that. Blah, blah, blah. Go look for yourselves. So the website is oversight.house.gov, G-O-V. It's the oversight committee that has put this information online for anyone to see. So go look at it for yourselves before you dive into the comments with a bunch of random stuff. So two pictures that you have probably already seen online would be the one where Felon 47's contribution to the birthday book, and where he talks about their awesome, not wait. May every day be another wonderful secret. And the wonderful secret, we still don't know what the wonderful secret is. I have my ideas. I have ideas about what that wonderful secret is, but has DJT told us what that wonderful secret is? No. He actually is denying that he even wrote it. He's denying that that's not his, he's denying that that's his signature. So there's that one. And then the other one you've already seen probably on social media is where it's Epstein, some Mar-a-Lago member, and then a girl or woman on the end, and her face has been redacted, and they're holding this big fake check. And it says underneath that one that, let me get the, so it says that the picture on the golf course, they're holding up the big check. Mar-a-Lago member jokingly says about selling a fully depreciated woman to DJT for $22,500. A fully depreciated. What I think about that label or comment is that we already know that Epstein had his preferred age group was somewhere between 13 to 17 years of age. So maybe that's what the depreciated means. I don't know if it means how many people Epstein farmed this girl out to, or if it's just that she aged out for him. I don't know, but a very crude comment to make about a human being, but that is what is in the book. There's also these pictures of, let me pull this back up. Um, what's clear through these pictures is that these people who were close to him knew exactly what Epstein was all about. Young women and sex, or young girls and sex. There's a picture here. This comes from somebody named Joel. There's an airplane in the middle. There's balloons. There's a cake. And then there's these girls at the bottom. One's a mermaid. One's in a tank top or a half tank swimsuit. The other's kicking her leg up. That's from whomever Joel is. Then there's this other drawn and colored in picture, and it has Epstein handing balloons and candy to children, to young girls. They're all in skirts and shorts, it appears. And it has the date 1983, and then it has 2003, where Epstein is laying on a lawn chair and being massaged by these look to be young teens or young women. Some are topless, and all you can see is their thongs. And there's a picture of the big house on Epstein Island. There's in the plane. There's a plane in the picture. Then there's another picture with the plane and the location: Santa Fe, Paris, Little St. Jeff, which is the island, Palm Beach, New York. So all the locations that Jeffrey Epstein was, where the ring rung, the sex ring rung, and then the airplane in the middle. So clearly these people knew exactly what he was up to. Whether they participated or they were just complicit, we don't know at this point. But there were a lot of people who contributed to this birthday book. I'm just going to read one phrase of this poem. Someone wrote, "Jeffrey at half century with credentials, plenipotentiary, though up to no good, whenever he could, has avoided the penitentiary." And that's part of a poem that someone wrote to him. So you have photos of many scantily clothed or in swimsuits or in precarious poses. The faces are redacted, but you can still see body parts. You can still see the poses that these young girls or women are in. And I saw that mostly in the girlfriend section, but I want to circle back to the child section. So there's a section for children, and there's a very disturbing picture in that section. So clearly there's a letter that's written by a child. I cannot remember what was said in that letter, but it's clearly in a child's handwriting. And when I say child, I'm talking one that's just learning how to write. Okay, kindergarten, first grade, maybe second grade would be pushing it, very young. And then I think the same person possibly drew this picture. And so at the top of the picture, there's a string of a group of young girls with blonde hair, and all of them have frowns on their faces. And then the beginning of a poem Yeah, with it says, "Here comes the bride, all dressed in white," and then and then it goes into something about the groom. But there's Jeffrey Epstein. Clearly, this child was trying to draw Jeffrey. Actually, it was pretty good. And then another blonde-haired person. And there was also somebody in the picture, in the image, I believe, that they indicated like a baby, because there was a circle there. So I don't know, but what was very chilling and telling about this drawn picture by a child is that all the little girls at the top had frowns on their faces. They weren't happy to be at this wedding. So we also have learned, since this new information started coming out, that there were fake marriage licenses and also fake immigration papers that were given to these young girls to bring them from other countries. We know that now. Um, there's a lot. I don't want to go. I mean, you can read it for yourself, but there were a lot of people that wrote very telling things in this book that lets you know that they knew exactly what the hell was going on with this dude. Um, yeah, so he goes to Europe with some guy, last name is Kafka. I think straight out of high school, because I don't think he went to college, or maybe he just did a year in college and he went on this trip to Europe and didn't go back to school. But he goes on this trip to Europe with this person, Kafka. Apparently, somebody wrote in the book that, your experience in Europe helped you get to land the job at Dalton. Dalton is a private school in New York. And again, this individual didn't have a degree and was given this job by Bill Barr, the first Attorney General in Felon 47's in first term, was given a job by Bill Barr's dad at the Dalton School. So how that connection was made in Europe, I don't know. But what I did see was him with this Kafka dude, I don't know, doing concerts, roaming around. There's stories about them, somebody wrote stories about their adventures in Europe or whatever. And then there's several pictures of them grouped together, in their little tighty whities. I have a theory about men in tighty whities. I'll share that with you on another day. But yeah, several pictures. I don't know if these were like Speedo swim trunks or underwear, but several pictures of him with the men. And then you see later on in the book that he apparently went to this, it looks like he went to this dude Kafka's wedding, and Kafka married a man. So I don't know what was happening and going on in Europe, but there's that. So I talked to you about the fake marriages and immigration. We found out also JP Morgan Chase has processed more than 1 billion in transactions for Epstein. We also found out that they had several accounts that were set up for these young girls under the age of, I don't know what that was, age of 18. And they actually had a large payout with some civil suits, because they just turned a blind eye because they were making so much money off of Epstein. This is JP Morgan and Chase. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. This dude had a lot going on. There's stuff in here talking about going to the Concord Hotel, some Jewish singles weekend. I think this was in his early 20s days. Something about porking some girls and whatever they did together with the rabbi's daughter. There's a lot of code talking in here. I guess because they know each other and they know what was going on. They understood these inside jokes. There's a lot of that in this book, what people wrote. But yeah, there's talks about private jets and locations, and Like for example, this quote: 2 decades, 2 decades, so many girls, so many girls, so little time. Happy birthday, deplorable, deplorable one. But clearly he's talking about, this individual is talking about 2 decades that they've known each other, so many girls, so little time. Uh, we are vampires, and vampires are supposed to age slowly, if at all. Um, there'll be more decades of planes with passengers on it who say, oh, there's drawings with a man with an erect penis, and it looks like another man with a tail, like the devil's tail. There are pictures or photos of animals with erections, like lions and giraffes having sex or with erections. Um, a lot of, again, girls, redacted faces, but scantily clothed. So let me go back to the child section. So the child section, those two pictures that I told you about, and then underneath the picture where all the girls are frowning at the wedding, there is a photo of and you can tell she's a young girl because the body, and she looks to be in her pajamas. And then there's a picture of her playing the piano. Of course, you cannot see her face. Um, People did their own personal tit print and gave those to him for his birthday. Apparently, he really loved breast. Leslie Wexler said, I just want to give you whatever you want for your birthday. And he drew a picture of breast. There's somebody under the assistant, I believe, section who talked about him loving her breast and a birthmark on her breast. So he was clearly had a thing for breasts. I mean, I don't want to go into, there's a lot. I have a lot of notes here. I have so many notes here and so many weird things that were said. Bill Clinton wrote a note and said something about him having a childlike curiosity. Alan Derkowitz is definitely in here. Mentioned flying with Epstein to Africa with the Hope of Arkansas, which is clearly, that's Bill Clinton he's referring to. Then there's some Bill Elkus. I wrote down some names so I can try to Google these folks. Talked about some sales rep that went home with Epstein, but then the very next day he was able to get her, or she was passed on to him. And Epstein asked him to fly her back to where her home. Oh, one of his gorgeous homes, like he likes to share with his friends. Yum, yum. Like I'm telling you, there's just a bunch of coded shit in here. And it's all nastiness, but it's a lot of coded shit in here. So clearly all these people knew what the hell was going on. If they weren't participating, they definitely knew. So let me skip. Oh, and there's something else here. There's different pages that are coded in yellow, pink, and blue. Don't know what that's all about. It seems like there might be some color coded system going on with that. So I did want to mention that. Then also lines clearly must have been blurred with assistants as well, because assistants also gave him pictures of them in their swimsuits or ass photos, with them in a swimsuit, and just very inappropriate things if it was like a traditional assistant role or position. There's this one young lady, I wanted to read this. So she said that she met Ghislaine Maxwell, came to a Palm Beach horse show. And that's how she met Ghislaine. And then she ended up I guess with Epstein somehow. Um, and then there's this collage of pictures underneath that. There was somebody else I wanted to read you. Oh, here. So before Jeffrey, I was a 22-year-old divorcee working as a hostess in a hotel restaurant. After Jeffrey, and then she goes on to list all the vacations, all the locations that she's traveled to. After she met him, so she lists all those, and then she also says, and then I also was able to meet all these exciting, interesting people. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, the Sultan of Brunei, Stephanie Seymour, who I believe was or is an actress. I don't even know if she's still alive. Antonio Verglas. That's one of those names I was going to Google. Naomi Campbell. Now, I find it interesting that Naomi Campbell was not only connected to Jeffrey Epstein, but she's also was best friends with Diddy. Naomi Campbell. Peter Brandt, I believe, was an actor. Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey got in trouble for flirting with the boys on set, sexually harassing the boys on set. Chris Tucker, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson. I hadn't heard Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, so I don't know, maybe I'm the only person surprised here, but I hadn't heard Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. And then, of course, DJT, Felon 47 is on the list of brilliant, interesting people that she was able to meet. She also said brilliant scientists, lawyers, and businessmen as well. So also included, so we got the birthday book is there. That was uploaded by the committee. There's a note here, Bob Maxwell's teenage daughter. So apparently when Epstein was an actual trader, at, I believe Bernstein's was the name of the company. So he worked for a Bob Maxwell, and whomever this person is, oh, Ira, I wrote the name down. Ira said something to the effect where, they were trying to build Bob Maxwell's portfolio apparently, but Epstein found out that he had a teenage daughter. So, and then Ira goes on to say that, when he saw, when they traveled to Columbus and you had just Lean carrying your bags, I knew I had to learn a lot from you. And I'd heard that he treated her like trash, like garbage, but that she was in love with him. So, but her father treated her like garbage as well. So there's that. Now, moving on to one of the other documents, because I didn't want this to be as long as it's getting. So in the indictment, there are some potential co-conspirators that are named, that are listed. And the clause says, if Epstein successfully fulfills in all the terms and conditions of this agreement, the U.S. also agrees that it will not institute any criminal charges against potential co-conspirators. And then they are listed. Now, it has been said that this is something special that Jeffrey Epstein asked for to protect these women. I don't know if, I know one of them was a grown-ass woman who worked for him as his assistant, and then she would use a pseudonym or fictitious name when she was booking travel for the young girls. But some of these other young ladies, let me see if I can pull up exactly, because I posted this week. So let me see if I can pull this up real quick. So I've been posting a lot about this case, but let's see if I can find it real quickly. If not, I'll have to include it in another. Okay, here it is. So the first one, Sarah Kellen Vickers. She scheduled most of the appointments at Epstein's Palm Beach mansion. According to a mass document from 2006 to 2008 case, she also paid the girls who came to the house between $200 to $300 for massages. So that's Sarah Kellen Vickers, and she is one of the co-conspirators that received immunity. And then Epstein bragged about buying a model, Nadia Marcinkova, from her family as a 15-year-old, and he dubbed her his Slovakian sex slave, according to Palm Beach police records. Leslie Groff, 58, I believe at the time of this indictment. She worked as an executive assistant for Epstein for 20 years. Y'all know Leslie saw a lot of shit, and she kept her mouth closed for 20 years. 20 years, Leslie? 20 years? Where's your girl code, Leslie? Mainly out of New York. One survivor who testified in the Maxwell trial under the pseudonym Kate said Groff booked her flights to Epstein's many properties in the US. So I got it wrong. So the girl was using Kate in the case, but she booked the flights. She knew. It's definitely Leslie Groff knew. Adriana Ross, also known as Mukinksa, was a Polish model and has been the most silent amongst Epstein's potential co-conspirators, named in his 2007 non-prosecution agreement. Adriana Ross. So these 4 women received immunity in his 2008-2009 case. Other documents that are attached or connected are his will and then his phone book. Now, here's what I noticed about the phone book. There are certain names that are circled. He's very meticulous, okay? So in the phone book, there are several people listed, and he has phone numbers for each one of if they have multiple properties or multiple numbers to reach. He has, let's say their Florida home, and then he has that home cell. Then he'll have New York home, then he'll have that. And so he has all these details. What I could tell is for the girls or young women that he was using or were involved in this ring, it appeared that they only had their first name and a phone number, one number. No address, no other details, no nothing. Then there were certain people that are circled. There are 2 people that are circled and witness is written by them. Don't know what that means. I just made note of it. Then he's got all his massage locations circled. So massage in Kenya, massage in Paris, massage in wherever he goes, he's got these massage places circled. Now, I thought that's how he was luring in the girls and having the girls do. There's actually a picture where there's 3 girls, faces redacted again, but he's sitting, one girl has one foot, the other girl has another foot, and then there's another girl just leaning on him, and they're massaging his feet. So I don't know. I don't know to the levels of his need for massages, but he has different in every location. It looks like he would frequently travel. He has a massage location, and they're circled in this book. So yeah, the other documents are his will, the phone book, and the indictment document. And then you've got these 4 potential co-conspirators that received immunity. I believe a lot of these people in the book were co-conspirators because they knew all this stuff was going on and they didn't say anything. They didn't do anything. They joked about it in this book. They were cracking jokes and talking in code with each other. So definitely, if they were not involved, meaning they did not participate, they were definitely co-conspirators. definitely co-conspirators. And I know there's a statute of limitation in all these states. You know, New York had theirs opened up, and I believe it's closed back again. That's why you saw a lot of cases pop up here in the past 5 years. That's why the Diddy case got through during that period of time. But these girls, these women deserve justice. They deserve justice. The way these wealthy, influential people joked about them and drew these lewd pictures, um, and made fun of the fact that they were being passed around and purchased human beings. There just seems like there should be some sort of justice for these women. It's just, it's appalling, and it's heartbreaking. It's appalling and heartbreaking. Um, as you already know, I talked about this a couple of times. I'm a survivor of both sexual assault and domestic violence. And just in looking over this material and seeing how young some of these girls had to have been, of course I can't see their faces, but had to have been, just kind of gauging from the body, the size, etc. um, and just to know they were flown around and passed around to these nasty ass, old ass, decrepit men. What else can I say? As more information comes out, I will keep you updated. But please, please, before you jump in the comments, please go and look at this information for yourself. Oversight.house.gov, G-O-V. It's all there. It's all there. Pictures, letters, handwritten notes, hand-drawn pictures, pictures of animals, letters again, mathematical problems, because he was supposed to be such a mathematic whiz, scientist shit. There's a whole bunch in this birthday book that I didn't even cover. Go look at it for yourselves and make your minds up for yourselves. Don't get focused on what KKK Caroline is, spewing from the podium. Don't get caught up in another lie that Felon 47 is trying to um, um, sell you, because he just wants you to move on. He just wants you to move on because he knew, he knew, he knew. That's why he drew what he wrote. He drew in the outline of a woman slash girl. That's why he alluded to this secret that they have between the two of them. And that they have a lot in common is something else that he wrote too. So he knew, he was very well aware. If he didn't participate, he knew, and he did nothing to stop it, nothing to stop it, until he wanted to purchase a property and knew he was having to bid against Epstein. So no care for the human beings being passed around or allegedly bought and purchased for $22,500. No care for them. I'll keep you posted.